When you're talking about cancer or MS, we are not at an amusement park. Nobody is getting a free ride. The only thing that people ask for is a chance at life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's not a free ride or a luxury, and it's not a privilege of people with status. Because you know one person who was not under threat by the latest Republican bill? Doug Collins. Not a single senator or congressperson will lose health insurance because of this bill. But they are willing to kick 23 million people off of their health insurance. That tells me that they believe that life, and a life as free of suffering as possible, they believe that that kind of life is a privilege for themselves and their families. I don't believe that. I believe that every human being in this country is equally valuable. And nobody is more valuable than anybody else. So I would love for you to support me in my goal of offering health care to every single person in our district and across this country, giving them a chance at life, putting them back to work, and saving money. Another plank in my platform is to help revitalize our economy. You know, the last big crisis that our country had was the Great Depression. And when the Great Depression happened, Republicans were in power, cutting taxes and offering that as the magic solution, as they always have. And soon after, the Democrats had to actually roll up their sleeves and fix the mess. Unfortunately, during the last Great Recession, I don't believe that we did enough. We did a lot for the few at the top. In those days, during the crash, if you only lost a few $1 million through unsafe gambling, you were nobody. But if you lost billions of dollars, then the government rewarded you with the highest prize. They made sure you stayed afloat. And after we did that, as a country, after we handed these banks the bailouts and rewarded them for their gambling, after that, those banks proceeded to foreclose on veterans, on seniors. They proceeded to cut pensions from people who had worked for it their whole lives. That fundamental injustice in 2008 is where I believe our party began to lose supporters. And that's where I want to start building it back up. We cannot divorce economic justice from social justice. I believe with all of my heart that every human being, LGBTQ, male and female, non-binary, black and white, Muslim and Christian, and people of no faith, are all of equal value. This is not a new and radical idea. It was in 1776, but it's not new and radical anymore. I believe that every person in this country is of equal value and should have equal freedoms to worship and love as they please. But we cannot forget that people also need to be free when it comes to the economy. And if you are having to work 3 jobs because we now allow companies to pay poverty wages, that is a fundamental injustice, and people will remember it. That's the first thing they will think of when they go to the polls. So I propose increasing the minimum wage to a livable wage, to $15 an hour. Because when you pay a person who works for a living poverty wages, you are not simply stealing their labor. Those people who have to show up to work every day are giving all of their waking lives, their very existence, to come to work. And to pay them so little that they qualify for food stamps is theft. It is wage theft, and it is happening all across our country today. If we raise the minimum wage, we would lift millions out of poverty. In fact, let me rephrase that. We would give people the power to lift themselves out of poverty. In Walmart, the biggest employer in the world, there are instructions in the break rooms, on the walls, on how to apply for food stamps. It's not right. We have got to reward working people for working. And finally, I want to talk a little bit about healthcare and in particular women's issues. We have got to ensure that when a person goes to work and gives their time and their labor, that they get paid fairly and equally. So I propose supporting laws that would make sure that companies don't pay women less because they're women. Along with that, we need to make sure that companies are giving not only maternity leave, but paternity leave, because sometimes women lose wages because they're the only ones who can take off. I believe that we need to give men a chance to let women go back to work and earn some more money. But I also want to reassert something fundamental, and this is where I'll close. Women do not stop becoming human beings. Women do not stop being human beings when they become pregnant. If people do not have sovereignty over their own bodies, they don't have sovereignty over anything. It is not pro-life to outlaw abortion. If you outlaw abortion, you will kill women and you will kill babies. We will go back to the days of the coat hanger, and we know what happens when we outlaw abortions. We see this in other countries. The abortion rate goes up, not down. So if we want to cut down on abortions, which I do, I've never met anybody who didn't want to cut down on abortions. The best thing to do would be to offer universal health care, which includes contraception and planned parenting, so that there's never an unwanted pregnancy. That is the most sensible way to both reduce abortion rates and to preserve the freedom of women to do what they want with their body under the consultation of a doctor. So we as Democrats have got to reassert ourselves as the pro-life party. I don't believe we should be invading Syria right now and putting lives in danger. That's pro-life. I don't believe in carrying on, or the way it's carrying on, this brutal war on terror that has gone on for years. We've poured $6 trillion of our wealth into it, and we've toppled regimes and created nests and hives where terrorists can hide. I don't believe that we're fighting terror the right way. I'm pro-life. I don't want to spend as much money on bombs as we do on health care. We are the pro-life party. Look around this room and look at all the mothers and fathers and sisters and siblings in this room. I have never met a single person who is not pro-life. And we as Democrats have got to reassert our values as a pro-life group. Because the most pro-life position we can have today is guaranteed health care access to every single person. That is a pro-life position. I question how Mr. Collins can call himself pro-life when he votes to cut Medicaid. In fact, not just $600 billion, but $800 billion on top of that. He wants to cut Medicaid, and Medicaid paid for over half of the births in Georgia last year. How do you call yourself pro-life and look in the mirror after you vote for such a disastrous budget? Looking forward to the future, we Democrats, we progressives, have got a chance that we haven't seen in a long time. This administration and this Congress have been nothing but chaos from day one, and they're losing approval ratings every day. So please, let me call upon you. Number one, we are progressives. We believe in the fundamental equality of every single human being, including people who voted for your opponent. Look into your neighbor's eyes and look into your neighbor's heart, and remember that we all have made mistakes. We've all been fooled before. But we're also all fundamentally rational. And we can appeal to our neighbors, no matter who they voted for, with reason and compassion and kindness. They are just as human as you or I. And just like you or I, they get tired really quickly of lies. And we already see it working, because Mr. Trump's approval rating has fallen into a cascade at this point. He lost 14 points just this past month among Republicans. Give Trump voters a chance to see the future. Stop dwelling on the past. And in fact, here's what I would say. Return goodness for evil. When you're attacked for your beliefs, when you're called these black slanders, return goodness for evil. Talk about what you find in common. Find the common ground and dwell on it. And treat everybody, no matter who they are, with dignity. Not because they're from your party or of your own religion or of your own sexuality, but because they're human beings and they deserve dignity, no matter who they are. Thank you for listening to me tonight. I want to open up the floor for questions for any concerns you might have. I wasn't able to cover all of my ideas in a short span, but I'd love to hear any questions you might have about the ways to win or other parts of my platform. Thank you for your attention.